Hola Comadres, welcome to another episode of Comadreando podcast. I'm your host Marcy, and today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Rose, but I'm going to let her introduce herself. Who are you?
How are you guys? My name is Rose, but some might know me as Black Rose. I'm a comedian, activist, and representing Uptown, basically, at the end of the day, right now. Yes.
Amazing. So Comadres, I always like to give a little side story of how I met my guest. But before I get into that, it's the Heights. It's the first official day of spring. So it's lit out
Yeah.
here. It's loud. People are with their motorcycles already. So if you guys hear any extraneous noises, you know what it is.
Happy New
So
Year. New Year. This
yeah,
is year.
that's supposed to be the real New Year, right? When spring starts.
Mm-hmm.
So the Comadre and Rose and I know each other because first of all, we're like basically vecinas. We're from like the same area of the Heights. And we've been running in the same circles for a little bit now. And we have been maintaining an online friendship, sort of via Instagram. And then we got really like to talking more after the whole incident that happened uptown.
Yeah.
It was last week, right?
Last
Like
week, yeah.
the weekend
Officially on the
before last.
10th.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happened
So,
officially on.
mhm. So we've been communicating back and forth regarding that. But before we get into the situation that happened, I want to introduce the topic. So the topic today is the problem of violence and bullying in our communities of color and how it affects our youth. And the reason why we chose the topic, like I said, we had an incident that happened in our community featuring a 15-year-old autistic boy who was assaulted by a group of three people on the train on his way home. And basically, during the altercation, there was racial slurs that were said to him and all of that. So we're going to get more into the details later on because it's a little bit of triggering for people. And I want to say trigger
Yeah.
warning before you guys even start watching the episode. There's going to be a mention of violence, gangs, and all of bullying and all of that. So before we get into that part of the conversation, your career, you said you're a comedian, you're an activist. How long have you been doing that? And what made you get into that field?
So since young, I've always been in the arts. I love the arts. I don't mention everything because it sounds like it might be bragging to people, but like I've done theater. I'm a writer. I rap. I sang in church. I've done it all. I do a lot of campaigns for different entities representing Latinos. For example, like maybe McDonald's or Lay's and Wendy's via like social media. So the arts is something that I've always loved since like young. I can't even pinpoint when and where it started. Because as young as elementary, I was doing something in school, and some of the things that led me to want to sign up to a lot of these things in school was kind of like running away from what I was seeing in the neighborhood, which was a lot of people selling drugs, a lot of violence in our community. I was born and raised in 137, so that's technically Harlem or Hamilton Heights.
Mm-hmm.
So since young, I've been kind of seeing the things that happen in our neighborhoods, and then I myself kept just enrolling myself in other programs, so I didn't have to see that as much because that was my safe space. Anything that had to do with the arts and the activism is that's a new word that that I'm using now because of course everyone's calling me that. Like, you're an activist, you're a community leader. To me, I was just a human caring about people. And having a voice and finally feeling comfortable enough to speak up against certain injustices that we see. So I've done a lot of things for a lot of movement for the cannabis community, to help legalize things like that. But then when this incident occurred, then that was a bigger impact because I saw how it made me feel. I saw how it made a lot of people feel. And me, someone that fights really hard to represent us proud Afro Latinos, those of us that understand our roots, that bothered me to now kind of have like the world or the community or just this Instagram viral video depicting us as people that are racist, when I know that we're not. However, we have to address certain issues within certain things in our community. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I felt like I had to do. I felt like it was easy to do that because I care.
I love that, and I appreciate that. So I know my initial reaction to the video, because my son. My son has autism. He's 14 years old. It could have been him. Yet, granted, Aiden is not at the point. He's not as independent right now that he can go and take a train alone or whatever the case may be. But like, I put myself in that mom's place, right? I put myself in that child's place. I put myself in those kids' place, because we've all been at one of those roles at one point or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understand that he was involved in some kind of violent behavior before. I didn't appreciate people trying to bring it up, kind of trying to justify what was done. Because of that, like, I just feel like the community needs healing in general. Like, this behavior is unacceptable. Nobody should be putting their hands on anybody about anything, period.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. So for me, like, when I saw the video, I got like really sick to my stomach, and I felt this overwhelming sense of impotence, right? And then, I'm scrolling through, obviously you're scrolling through social media. Everybody's posting the video. I'm like, what the hell? And then I see that, I had never seen somebody move so fast in my life. You was like, boom, I'm going to the district. I'm going to the precinct. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to talk to that person. And this is where this generation needs that shift. Because you reminded me a lot of like my parents. And we, like, when we grew up, like, when there was something wrong, people went out to the streets and took it to the streets, and they started, like, saying, like, we don't like this shit, like, stop, right? And my parents, the same, their generation was the same thing. A lot of protests, a lot of getting together as a community to do and to affect change. However, this generation now, and I'm not going to say every single person, a lot of people are, like Instagram activists, right? They don't really do anything, or they're, like, get mad online, and they'll tweet about it, and they'll send a thing, they'll post something, and then that's it. That's the extent of their activism. But I love the fact that you actually like took steps to actually do something about it and to affect change. And then from that thing that you did, it has inspired so many other people. So it's like, this is where I want our community to head. Not only, but like changing the behaviors, but también like when we see something that we don't like, we need to do something about it, because nobody's gonna come and save us.
Exactly.
Nobody's gonna come and save us.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Rose, if you want to say something.
No, it really affected me. I was really upset seeing just everything that transpired on the video. Of course, we don't want to incarcerate children, but I still think that some accountability needs to be taken. The more that the story started to develop, and I did the call for action, that's when even more information started to pour in, and I'm just like, all right, this is information that is good to know, but it doesn't make it right what happened. And there was backlash. There was some people that just don't get what I was doing. Oh, why are you trying to bring racism into the Heights? We're not racist. I'm like, it happened here. We need to discuss it. Yeah.
No, because the thing is, okay, okay, this is my problem with our community, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my problem with my community is that we're like, we don't see color. We erase blackness, right? We don't see color. We're not racist. Oh, really? But then, like, people that are lighter skin tones in Latin America get better jobs, have better opportunities, and are accepted everywhere. But people that are dark skin color or that look different than, like, quote unquote, Salma Hayek, Jennifer Lopez, whoever the case may be, they get treated badly because of their skin color. So let's address that, because the thing is, like, okay, we're not calling anybody the N-word, right? Supposedly, but you over here treating people differently because they're a different skin color than you, and literally see the abuelas and the tias, like they're walking down the street and they see a black man. And I'm gonna be real because I've seen it myself in our neighborhood, and they grab their purse tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Or my own grandma, like when she first got here to this country, she was coming up the stairs, and there was an African American man that came behind her. She's like running up the stairs, and she comes in, she closes the door, and I'm like, are you okay? She's like, ay, había un negro atrás de mí. I was like, usted sabe que usted es negra, ¿verdad?
Yeah,
like igual que él. Like you're black just like him.
Our does not, or some of our people don't want to accept. And once again, this is me being a big advocate for Afro Latinos. There is a big community of us, and I feel like it's the generation that came after our parents and our grandparents. We're a lot more educated
and conscious.
And we're not, and there is a difference sometimes between people that are born in the Dominican Republic and people that are born here in New York. But we just also have to remember that there are still younger kids that are immigrants coming from the Dominican Republic trying to acclimate with us. And it's a thing that we have to constantly be rewriting how people think, especially when, it pertains to anti-Blackness or anything like that. Because, listen, I remember seeing this video of Godfrey, which I love. He's such a great comedian. I can't wait to actually hopefully meet him one day because I think he's great. But there's this video that kept circulating like, I'm no black. And a lot of people, when reposting things like that, will jump on the bandwagon to think all Dominicans are like this. All Latinos are like that. And I was like, no. There's so many of us Dominicans and Puerto Ricans that are very, very, very proud of our roots. Yet, being someone that's standing up for Afro Latinos, I cannot turn a blind eye when I see someone in our community kind of go the opposite way. And we have to call it out. I don't understand why people are so festered that I called a call to action for the neighborhood. I didn't call the news. I didn't call the news at all. They reached out. One of them reached out to me, and all of a sudden I got there that day, and there was a whole bunch of them there. It became bigger than what I even thought would be, which is great because I feel like the most important thing is that those kids got to speak, the transit community kids, which I didn't even know that they were coming, and they got to express themselves. And say, and I commend those three young men, especially the one that got up to speak, because he was asked, oh, but doesn't that other kid bully too? And he said, yeah, and kids make mistakes. As I even looked at some of those other videos, because you got to look at everything. I feel like it is possible. I might be right. I mean, I might be wrong, but maybe this kid has been getting egged on to fight. He doesn't even look like he knows how to punch like that, Is he hurting people? And it wasn't a race thing. It was, a Mexican. It was a black girl. It was an Asian kid. It was just him around other kids that are egging him on to fight, and they're recording. It's a culture now with social media that everybody wants to go viral and record these things. And they share that within themselves in their small community. Like the kids know before us what's happening.
Claro, yes.
So I like that he stood up and said, kids make mistakes, but we've been fighting for years. This is not new. We need help. And that's like, to me, that was the moment I was like, this is why I did this. This, we got to figure out, we got to talk to them. Let them feel comfortable enough to want to speak to us. And not just kind of like turn your head around like, oh, whatever, it happened. When is it going to stop? When is somebody going to speak up before it gets any worse?
Yeah, I agree. And the whole thing, like, just because he was bullying, and I agree with what the boy said, that kids make mistakes, right? Like, how many of us adults now, right, when we were teenagers, did stupid things because our friends made us, not that they made us, that they were just kind of like, hey, hello, right? And you take that peer pressure and you go and do something that is incorrect, right? We make mistakes. They deserve forgiveness. And I'm saying, like, not only him, but like the other kids too. And then I agree with you with your sentiment about not wanting these kids to be incarcerated. However, there needs to be some kind of consequence for their actions. Because the thing is that if we don't do something to fix it, it's just gonna continue to get worse and worse. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And as a school teacher, these kind of incidents, it like one thing happens, después comienzan a copiar. They start copying each other, right? Somebody does something else, and then it becomes more of a problem because it's already a problem right now. But then it becomes more of a problem because through social media, it starts catching fire. It's like when you light a match near like dry wood, it just like spreads out,
Yep.
you know. And even my students in elementary school were commenting about the video. And I'm just like, this is, I was speaking to the guidance counselor at the school where I teach. And I'm like, listen, it's Autism Awareness Month. It's coming up next month. We need to talk about this incident. We need to talk about tolerating people for being different. Not tolerating, but accepting people for being different. Because the thing is that these kids, and like what you said, another mother, that's one of the comadres, that's a listener, shout out to
Yeah.
her. She reached out and she said that like a lot of our kids on the spectrum, they don't necessarily, like my son has no concept of like consequences.
Yeah.
So like he'll do something in the moment, right? But he won't think about, oh, this could happen later on, right? He's just acting in the moment. And thank God my son is not a violent kid, but he has been involved in incidents at school that he just lashes out, but he doesn't think, oh, I'm doing this and that's gonna, yes, that's gonna, something's gonna happen. Like it happens, and then after the fact, he's like, oh no, I'm sorry, right? Because he like
Yeah.
reacts.
Yeah.
So obviously teaching our kids on the spectrum, self control and like, coping mechanisms for when they get angry, or like also not feeding into that culture of like, oh, fulanito's telling me to do this, let me do this because I want them to be my friend. Because I
Yeah.
remember that too when we were growing up. Like a lot of people were doing things, joining gangs and all these other things because they wanted to have friends or like be part of the cool group. So they were doing things that in their inside of themselves, they knew that it was wrong, but they were doing
Yeah.
it anyway because they wanted to belong.
Exactly. It's so much deeper than what it all is, and everyone is just like that little girl they were calling so many names. They're like, where are her parents? And someone else got upset that on my live I said, what do you mean where are her parents? Her parents are drug addicts. And that was offensive to them. Oh, there's a community of people in cannabis that find that offensive. I'm like, this is not even what this is about. Number one,
But
the
wait,
drug.
wait, wait. Her parents are drug addicts, but like, if that's the truth, que ellos quieren que tú digas, what do they want you to say?
It's once again, I feel like it's all the deflecting that people have instead of just focusing on the subject that these kids need help.
Yes.
Everybody's like, but what about her parents? Her parents can't help. What now? That's my thing that kind of just boggles my mind in a lot of these situations. Someone had to stand up for them. Someone
Yeah.
had to kind of make that first move, and I was close enough. I've been able to build a lot of relationships in the community with different people in council, just people, my neighbors, and people that actually understand what we're doing, and we all kind of feel the same way. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, those other issues, not that they're not important, but the youth to me is the most important right now
Yeah.
because we have to start with them. We have to figure it out. Right now, I just stepped outside to go look for something with UPS, and I see four young men. I want to say they're like 13, 14, 12, 13, walking down.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see another four young men. They have to be maybe 15, 16, 17, all walking. They kind of cross paths. The older ones tell the younger ones, watch out, don't go to the park, it's hot. And I'm like,
Mm.
I'm paying attention. I'm not on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Literally, the school that I'm around, G Dubs, is right on my block. I'm paying
Yeah.
attention. What do? I let the little younger ones keep walking, and then I called the other four ones that crossed me. Hey, y'all, can y'all come here real quick? Let me talk to y'all. How y'all feeling? Well, how do you feel about everything that's happened? Oh, y'all, we think it's messed up. I'm like, all right. I just want to remind y'all that you guys are the future. You are the leaders. And you see those four little younger ones? They're looking up to y'all. So whatever y'all tell them, they'll do. I'm not saying y'all doing anything wrong because I don't know what y'all doing. If you guys are doing great things, I commend ya. But at the end of the day, we got to stop all this nonsense that we have within the community and within the youth. And it starts with you guys. Set the right examples. And they're paying attention. They were paying attention. And I'm like, yo, I'm Black Rose. And they're like, yeah, we know who you are. And just let them know, I'm going to create a program and hopefully you guys could pull up. And instead of them walking to wherever they were going to walk again, they diverted and walked elsewhere. And some other boy from across the street was like, pussy, like, people need to wake up and really pay attention to what's happening around them. Everybody's so stuck once again on their phone. Everybody's so stuck, and I get it. It's hard living in New York, right? It's not easy. We're in a concrete jungle, so we got to work even harder to feel better, and not get lost in this. I don't even know what people are lost in. They're lost in their own issues, their own problems, or whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. But at the end of the day, what are we leaving to the kids? What are we leaving to the youth? Sometimes they just need somebody to talk to, call them out.
Yeah.
And stop letting them try to handle all their beef on their. That's the problem. They fight about the dumbest things, and then they start calling each other names. Now it becomes because that situation became a hate crime. That's crazy that it had to get to that level.
I know.
And supposedly, I don't know if it's true. A young man came forward to somebody else and told them that, that was me. I regret saying that. I was just being funny. I'm Black. I just thought it would be funny to say that.
But he was really unaware too, though. Like, they don't know. Because this is why they need so much orientation, our kids. Like, they say stuff, they don't know that like, that's offensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that we shouldn't be saying. Like, even if it was a joke, like, that's not something to joke about. You know?
Yeah, that was
like my students all the time. They'd be like telling me, like, "Oh, miss, that's racist." I was like, first of all, you don't know what the context of the word that you're saying, and racism is X, Y, Z, and I'm educating them at the same time. I'm reprimanding, obviously, but the thing is, like, who really takes their time to like talk to their kids, and if they're using a vocabulary word out of context, whether it's a good or a bad vocabulary word, calling them out on it and speaking to them about it, And you don't have to be family. You can be anybody on the street, on the train, whatever. Just, take it as a teachable moment. Like, a lot of these kids say things and they don't even know what it means.
Yeah. And, like, I get it. A lot of us from New York, we have a certain lingo. We should try to be a little bit more conscious at the same time. For that young man said he didn't know what he was saying, but he did say it with the hard ER, which is very different.
Yeah, it's a very different than with the A.
Then compared to how people talk to their friends. And listen, even me, like, I'm like, I was part of a play that has that type of discussion. The play consisted of 3 family members, one of Afro Latina. I played the Afro Latina. All 3 of us had our own perspective of the N word. And in the play, I got upset at the light-skinned Latina for saying it. And I'm like, well, we have the right to say it because we dark, but she don't. And, it's open for discussion. Everyone can feel one way or another. And then the other girl in the play was like, well, I don't think none of us should say it because that word is ugly. But we've been programmed, right? This is kind of like how we talk. It's kind of hard sometimes. Even me the other day, I was on stage and I said, damn, I don't want that word to slip out. Especially not everything that happened, and it slipped out and I caught it, and I'm like, it's a lot of reprogram that we have to do within ourselves.
Yeah.
It's I don't have all the answers. All I know is that what I saw bothered me, and I wanted to stand up for the kids and really understand what was happening on all sides.
Yeah. And that's what they need. They need understanding and people to listen to them, because at the end of the day, there might be other things going on. And then going back to that girl's parents, like, how many of us had parents that were like good parents, were working all day, they couldn't afford to, have a babysitter, and we were taking care of ourselves? Because I'm 39. I don't know how old you are, Rose. But
I'm 42.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we were taking care of ourselves. How many of us they from the neighborhood, had really good parents, and the parents were present, but they were left to their own devices because they couldn't afford a babysitter after work.
Yeah. The thing was, don't open the door.
Okay, and they were, no abra la puerta. Pretend you're not here. If somebody knocks, don't answer.
My best friend came across this information. She says over 300,000 kids are left unsupervised after school for about 3-4 hours, 5 at times, before their parents get back home. Where are the after school programs we used to have back in the days?
Exactly.
All the school budgets have been closed. Now the school is scrapping. And I hear when people be, yeah, the people in the school need to do a better job. I think a lot of them might be trying to, but they might not have all the resources. On top of everything else that they might, on their own personal life, be stressed about. Is that an excuse? No, I'm not making excuses for anybody. Because once again, I've seen really good teachers, and I remember being a young mom, and I put my son in a school here in the Heights after I left the Bronx for first grade, and I didn't like the system there, and I transferred him to El Barrio. But I was proactive about it. I was just like, I will go, I will check the teacher out. I'll be like, well, there's a program available. All right, let me sign up to this program, and I got my son out of there. My son didn't go to school in the Heights. He went to the school in El Barrio. So everybody just needs to take some responsibility instead of pointing fingers, I think, at the end of the day. If everyone took responsibility, every single person, we will be a better place.
Of course. The thing is, we can't point the finger, because if we're gonna point fingers, también let's blame the people that were just recording and said nothing. I get it, like, you don't know what's gonna happen, but you're an adult. Like, there should be no reason that you're recording on your phone and you're just watching kids get into an altercation without even saying anything. I'm not gonna say jump in, because I know quite a few teachers that have gotten their ass beat because they jumped in when there was like some kid beef. However, at least say something. Don't just stand there,
What a friend of mine brought up, and it was really funny. They were like, those weren't our people in the trains recording these kids. These are maybe some gentrifiers.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that.
Just like a quick second, like, wow, you know what? I kind of went back, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? She might be a little bit right about that. And then people are scared of the kids.
Yeah, they are.
They're scared. People are scared to kind of intervene in certain situations. Someone else, I'm telling you, this has become a thing that so many people have started sending me different information, different articles. We saw someone send me an article recently today of a girl that was protecting this kid from being bullied, and then she got punched in the face and she lost her eye. So people are afraid sometimes to do something. That's how bad it's gotten. And even me as a mom, as my son was getting older, he's always been a good kid. Sometimes I used to tell him, if something really crazy is happening, don't try to be the hero, because I'm afraid that he might get hurt.
Claro, yeah.
So it's so weird. I guess you wouldn't know what to do until you're caught in that position. And hopefully there are people that have the courage to intervene and kind of do something about it. I think in this situation, I probably most likely would have did something about it, because I am known to stop kids and I'll be like, yo, what you doing? Why you talking like that? That's crazy. No, don't do that. That's not cool. That's not cute. But everybody's not going to react the same.
I know. And then the thing is, like, and then I'm thinking about what you said about the after school programs, that a lot of the funding has been cut. A lot of the funding has been cut, and then the programs that exist now are nothing like what we had when we were kids. And a lot of schools are, I'm going to be real, 100% honest, a lot of schools are mismanaging their funds. What are they investing in? I don't know. but I don't see it in the classrooms. I don't see it in the school buildings. I don't see it in infrastructure. So that's another thing that parents can be proactive about. If your school needs an after school program for the children, especially in high risk areas like this area, you can demand at the district that they open up some kind of program, and they're gonna have to find the
Yeah.
funding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's another way that we can be proactive. Like, let's say we don't have to step in, but if we can help bring programs like PAL to our neighborhood
Back.
in our school
Mm-hmm.
to help support our kids, even like counseling, anything really can really help these kids. Because the thing is, I feel like there's a lack of guidance and a lack of empathy overall for all of them, and they need to be taught that. Like, we can't expect them. They're babies. I'm not babies, but they're like little kids. And if you're not taught empathy, how are you gonna really learn? Like, you have to be taught that. That's something that has to be explicitly taught.
Yeah. And seeing some of these adults, how they were talking and reacting, it's just like they need some training too.
También. It was just a mess. Because the thing is, like, the more time passes instead of, and people were like speaking out, and I'm just like, are you hearing yourself? Like, no, like, you're gonna make the situation worse. Like, we need to be
Yeah.
coming out of the reaction phase and thinking about solution based approach to the
Yeah.
situation. Because, like, us talking crap online is not gonna do anything.
None of those people that were talking crap came to the rally.
Exactly.
None of them. The rally is the place where when people could talk, even people that don't agree with each other, everyone has an open space to kind
Mm-hmm.
of put their testimony up. So we could
Mm-hmm.
all understand each other, because that's the point. We're supposed to be able to understand each other. But people got so lost. Oh, but what about the homeless? What about this? Are we not talking about a separate subject right now?
This
Isn't
is
that what you do?
Yeah, that's
Do what
exactly what you said. Like, the deflection part. Like, people want to bring up all this. It's like, it's like, okay, let's say whatever. You get yo te libre. Somebody gets hit by a car, right? And we're like, okay, yeah, we gotta stop drunk driving, da da da. But what about the people that get hurt in fires? Like, dude, it has nothing to do with the situation. Let's focus on what's at hand right now. This is something we can solve right now, right? Then, like, we can
Yeah.
talk about other things that are violent and other things. But we need to start
Yeah.
with whatever situation it is right now, because that's the momentum that we have.
Exactly. Exactly. And listen, you could be passionate about whatever you want. Do what you must with your stuff. Don't try to bring your spells and negative energy and your assumption of what you think that I am doing for our community. Aren't you an adult?
Mm,
Ask, especially if you have a direct contact with me.
mm,
But no,
mm.
you want to be heard now. You want to be heard online. You text me, oh, we gotta talk. Call me back, but I don't. Da, 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 da. Oh, but you said everything before I even got to speak to you. So this is how you really feel. I don't even got time for that right now. I'm here for the youth. Where were you the day of the rally? Where were you the day of the second rally where the kids
No.
themselves did a rally?
Listen, I wanted to. I was gonna come out, but then the time it was 2 o'clock, and I was teaching after school, and I'm like, yo, I can't like
No,
leave my
no,
kids.
you are doing great. You're doing a job. I'm talking about those people that were like against what we were doing, and
Nah,
and like such a negative
f
connotation,
those
or
people.
just registering everything all wrong. It just made no sense to me. I'm like, where
You
were
know
you
what it is with
guys?
those people? With those people is like, since I've been doing all this Kundalini yoga work, it's like those people reactions is stuff that they're working on themselves, and then you are like, you're shining a light on the places where they're deficient, and then they feel a certain way. This is why they're doing the backlash against you. So
Yeah,
it really, Rose, it really has nothing to do with you. It's them. And I pray healing and light and love for those people, because something's wrong, and you're like really deflecting. You're looking at other people and pointing the finger when you should be looking at yourself.
yeah.
Period.
But shout out to everybody that has been understanding, everybody that's been reaching out. I have a few youth community leaders that want to kind of implement something new. I'm working on a workshop, just trying to get it in a school instead of just doing it on my own first. I'm trying to start it at a school. I'm going to work with the school here. There's a few people, shout out to Noemi, Washington Heights, that's helping connect me with certain individuals. There's a few other people out there. I even have people from the community in El Barrio reaching out. Shout out to Violeta and the KR3Ts workshop that has a lot of youth in her programs, like a lot of children and young adults in her program. And these kids all come from different backgrounds, different experiences, and some of them have been on both sides of the fence. So like to see them all working together, all from different backgrounds. I'm talking about all different backgrounds together, creating art together. Like I teared yesterday, really made me emotional. And I'm just like, I want to help them. I want to help them have a place to divert their energy towards and an open space for them to talk kind of in the beginning. And everybody's welcome. If you've been a bully before, you're welcome. Come talk to us. Why have you done this? Did you change? Are you working for change? And then let's talk to the kids that do get bullied. How does this make you feel? Like let's have a real honest open discussion and then have the tools available for them to heal, whether
Yes.
it's counseling, uh meditation sessions, like there's so much different
Yes.
tools that we can use to help them heal, and
Yes.
hopefully everyone heals at the same time. That's
Yes.
my goal overall, doing what I can with the school that's here, and hopefully other community members do the same thing, and it becomes something that everybody has hands in. That's what I would love to see.
So a lot of the comadres that are like out of state, they're like hitting me up. They're like, "Oh, what can we do? How can we help?" And I'm just like, I was like, I guess like make it viral, like repost it, but like, is there anything else that we can tell them to do? Like people that are out of state that want to help.
um I know some places need funding. That's something I'm gonna just talk to the schools themselves and
Mm-hmm.
see if different schools create some type of GoFundMe account. I personally myself don't want to create one,
Mm-hmm.
um, just because so
No, I
many
mean if
kids.
they're already talking, like if they're already talking crap about you, like
Yeah, yeah.
advocating, like you imagine you open
Oh,
a GoFundMe
imagine
and say seguro meto cuartos son para ella.
people are so narrow-minded. But one way that they can help is kind of letting us know about certain programs that we might not know about.
Ah, yes.
Like how can we help the youth? How can we put them in certain programs after school? Who There's a lot of people that do things on their own that they don't even have help from the government to do. So
Yeah.
kind of highlighting those people in their own communities. I think that's helpful. And just being a good human. I think if everybody's just a good human and starts calling out those injustices that we see within our own families and friends, that's a start,
Mm-hmm.
because that kind of spreads. Once the kids feel like, oh my God, these adults are really watching us, they peeping what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
they might do better.
Yeah.
Um, the youth that we had back then is not the youth that we have now. So whatever
No.
was working back then that didn't work as much, obviously, is not
No.
going to work now. So programming would help. A
Yes.
new school curriculum would help.
Girl, yes.
And I know that's a lot of that's not in the power of the teachers. This is something that's higher up. And once again, I don't have all the answers. I'm just putting out
Mm-hmm.
there the concern, and hopefully everybody gets together towards a solution instead of trying to have these fake debates within each other.
I agree with you. Eh, yeah, and then another thing I want to say, I want to piggyback off what you were saying. Like, if there's anything in your state or your community that's working, send us más like more or less like what that looks like, what how they're running those programs, or even send us the link. We can get in contact with that organization and see if we can like make a branch here in New York. You know what I'm saying? Because our kids need as much support as possible. They need comprehension. And I feel like as adults also we shouldn't be judging these kids because like we were all young and dumb at one point or another,
Mm-hmm.
right? They need our support, they need our love, they need our understanding. And then not only that, but like I want to take it a step further, but also, you know, teaching our neurotypical kids about people with special needs and like what that looks like and how we can be supportive of them. Because like I know that a lot of these kids like they try to fit in, you know, so bad, and they might copy behaviors that are inappropriate, you know. So
Yeah.
like kind of creating a safe environment where everybody can be themselves and they won't have that fear that they're gonna be ostracized or bullied or whatever because they're quote unquote different than
Yeah.
everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
um Rose, I want to take advantage and invite you. We're gonna have a live show with Autism Spectrum Warriors, I believe it is, and they are a community organization that works with the police and kids with on the spectrum, and they basically help us teach our kids how to be safe
Yeah.
out in the neighborhood, but also like when they encounter anything that's kind of weird in our community. So it's gonna be in April. I will send you a direct invite so you can come. But
Okay. Okay.
definitely to continue this conversation, like how can we as parents support our children to be able
Yeah.
to avoid these types of situations in the future,
Mm-hmm.
especially our kids on the spectrum, because I feel like a lot of them,
Hopefully
not
it's
that
not
they
when
don't
I'm
know.
visiting. Hopefully it's not when
Visiting
I'm
where?
visiting my son in Pittsburgh. My son moved to
Oh
Pittsburgh
no.
when he was. But I'm going for like 4 days to babysit his dog while
Oh,
he,
okay.
he and him and his girlfriend go on a quick trip, which is so adorable.
I love that.
I'm like,
How old is your son now?
he's 22.
I'm gonna be there eventually, but I'm just like, no, I'm not ready. All right, let me look at the month of April. Espérate. Nosotros dijimos, is it April 19th? No. I
Whenever
believe
you
it's April
age.
2019th.
Okay.
All right, April 19th.
I,
So,
I'll
comadres,
definitely.
mark that date down in your calendars. I'm gonna start promoting it, so you guys can come down, and then we can all support the community. We're trying to right now. We're like trying to secure the location and all of that. And we don't want to charge anybody because this is something that's gonna be a beneficial to the community. But if you
Mm-hmm.
feel it in your heart to donate, we will accept donations as well. But it's really more to organize, support our community, and educate people as well, you know, and see how
That,
we can get together and do something, change the narrative, you know.
that means
So, um, you don't have grandchildren yet, right? Your son doesn't have any
no,
babies.
not yet. Not. It might be happening soon. They've been together. They're high school sweethearts. They've been together
Oh
nine
my god.
years. It is the sweetest thing. And I told him, don't make me a grandma yet. Just because I want him to go about it the right way. I want him to, get married first. And I want him to I want them to enjoy themselves. I was like, you guys are like a old 60-year-old couple. They're homebodies, which is cute. But I'm like, travel a little. So they're gonna go to Chicago. And I'm like, all right,
Okay. You're
one
like, that's
step at a
local.
time. That's not too bad. Yeah, yeah. I want them to explore life, but I'm very proud of my son. He's a good kid, and you know why he's a good kid? I hardly let him watch TV. I didn't have cable for 10 years. I did not. I had him in sports. Like I said, at the school that I like that he was in, I didn't like. I will change him. I would
Yeah.
put him in sports. I would put him in acting school. Whatever he would kind of gravitate towards,
Mhm.
whether he's still doing it or not, but it kept him busy.
Mhm.
It kept him busy, and then he would come home and video game life. He's a homebody.
Yeah.
I was like a kind of militant. I wasn't playing his friend. Like, I'm like, I'm your
Yeah.
mom. I am a cool mom, but don't try it. Like, don't try.
I feel like, but that's what kids need. They need. I understand the gentle parenting thing, but also like, I'm not your little friend. I am your mother.
Friend.
You can come to me with whatever you want, but don't disrespect me ever in
My
your
son
life.
now will tell me if someone like I think he got into a fight once, but he
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to tell me. And I'm like, well, I wasn't gonna go do nothing to the kid. I'm definitely not. And that's the moment that I was like, all right, find the balance so that he always feels comfortable letting you know.
Yeah.
But like, he handled it himself. He walked away from a problem
Mm.
instead of being hot headed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think it is. These kids, they're developing. Their hormones are going crazy. They
And
don't
they have like
know.
that. What I call it the dinosaur brain. They don't have like the other part of the. They're just like
Yeah,
acting out of their frontal lobe. They're not thinking, with the
they're
other
not.
parts of the brain.
And then we got like 16, 17, or like 16, 17-year olds got it. No, you still haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, no, no, no.
I just want to plead to kids. You guys are not street men and women. All right? Stop trying to work through this code of the streets. It's not going to take you anywhere. Street code, leave that to the drug dealers. And listen, I remember back in the days, the drug dealers, the OGs, used to still try to help one way or another the community. Because I get it. There's so much systemic racism and all this stuff that people didn't have the means to provide for their family, so they went that route. I get it. Like, even though it was wrong, I get it. You were doing it to survive, but can you guys in the streets kind of guide the youth a little better?
And
That's what.
also, the drug dealers from back in the day had an ethical, moral code, sis. Like, they wasn't doing all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, ellos tenían una ética. They would, like, a lot of them wouldn't even sell on the block that they lived on, ever. Not only that, but then, like, for Halloween, dudes was out here with candy, handing out candy to the kids, making sure
Money.
nobody was throwing eggs, taking care of the kids. Like, like, there's levels to it. And then I feel like, though that type of gangbanger, drug dealer person from back in the day that used to take care of the community, we don't have that anymore. A lot of these kids are lacking ethics and they don't have no moral code. So that street stuff that you're saying, that's not what's up.
They have nobody to follow. And everybody else that has a following out there, I encourage you to use your platform to try to help. That's what I felt like I wanted to do. I wasn't even thinking of my platform. Yeah, I used my platform because that was where I could express myself. Like, what is going on? I said, I want to know who these kids are. We need to talk. That's when I posted the video, I was just like, I want to know who these kids are because we need to talk. And yeah, I hope this kind of teaches everybody a lesson.
Listen, I hope this is just, unfortunately, it happened this way, but this is how we grow as a community, how we heal, and how we change the narrative for us and for our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through these incidents, we can teach not only people in New York City, but like in the nation, because it became a national news. There's people talking about it in Florida, people talking about it from California. Like, it made it out to these states. So then, like, we can use this influence, this little moment in time to teach and reach more people. So what we need to do as a community is come together and really support each other. So, Rose, let's change gears a little bit. I love the fact that you have become a community leader and that you're doing all of that, but also you're doing the comedy. So are there any projects that are coming out that you can share with us that we can look out for?
I'm really pushing towards doing my own one woman show. I don't have exact dates yet because I still got to put that together, but I'm going to continue working in all these comedy shows. I have a comedy show on Friday. It's called the Why You Mad Show. And also shout out to my hilarious girls where it's a group of all female sketch team variety show that we do. We're going to do a show for Mother's Day. So stay tuned for that. And those tools I'm going to use to teach the kids because I want them also to put and learn how to produce their own show.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with that. What I've like I said, I'm gonna do what I can with what I know. And I feel like the arts is such a great way to express yourselves and find a safe space. And I want to teach them that because, we got to create the future leaders. So that's
Of
what's on
course.
my goal right now.
Good. I was gonna give a shout out to Zuleika Velasquez, the director. She was the director of a production of the Vagina Monologues that we put on, but she also works with the kids in G Dubs in the theater
Oh my,
program that they have
have her
there.
reach out to me. Have her reach out to me.
Yeah, I'll tell her to reach out to you so that you guys can get together for that because she is phenomenal. And the stuff that those kids do, they put a prediction of it was I think I want to say Grease. Don't quote me on that though. I don't remember what was the play because I didn't get to go. We'll see. But she does these amazing productions and she really gets the kids involved. And while they're participating in that, they're not thinking about going out and doing inappropriate things. They're making sure that they're showing up for a rehearsal, that they're there to do their job during the production. So, those kind of programs. So shout out to her and shout out to the principal at Dubs for having that kind of program. So, doing things like that in the community and like definitely connecting people that are like aligned in their mission and vision is just gonna make our community better in that way.
Mm,
So, comadres, this was an amazing conversation. Rose, thank you so much for coming on. And it means
it
a lot
really
to me
was.
that it's Women's History Month and then that we're doing like amazing radical things. So, comadres, you know what to do. Follow me at Comadreando Pod. And please follow Rose. Rose, can you please drop your handle?
Sure, it is I am Black Rose NYC. IAM BLACKROSE It's so long, right? And thank you for having me. Thank you for being who you are. God bless you. God bless your son. God bless everything that
Amén.
you do. And I'm so glad that we got to meet because you're definitely going to be part of this workshop that I'm doing. And I can't wait to kind of just finalize everything so I can bring everybody into a quick meeting and we can go forward.
Amazing. All right, comadres. And if you have any questions at all for me or Rose, please feel free to send me a comadregram via email at marcy@comadreandopod.com or slide up into my DMs. And thank you for spending time with your comadres. Rose, you're officially a comadre of the
Yes.
show. Woo-hoo.
Comadre, gracias. Yeah, comadre. I love that. That's
All
such a
right,
great name.
everybody. Have a good night and be kind to each other.